The energy price cap is about to go up. It happens next week. But before we tell you all about that and how it will affect you, Martin, can you explain what's happening with energy prices?
Yeah, there is a way to beat the rise, but to understand the judgment you need to make, you need to understand what's going to be happening. So I've got a big graph that is going on here so I can talk you through it. Here we go, let's bring that up. So look, I should start by saying the energy price cap dictates the price that you pay in England, Scotland and Wales if you're on a standard tariff. Now, unless you know you're on a fixed or a special tariff, you're almost certainly on a standard tariff. It's well over 80% of homes, so it's almost certainly the majority of people watching are on one of those tariffs. Now, it's actually the price cap's gone down since last winter, and we are at this low point here now. But next week, on the 1st of October, we are going to see the price cap rise again by 10%. Now, the chart is based on the Ofgem typical use figure. That's mostly meaningless. No one's on typical use. Far better to focus on the percentage. So what does this mean in practice? Well, for every £100 you pay on energy right now, from next Tuesday, you're going to pay £110 on the same usage. That is what a 10% rise means. But the price cap only lasts 3 months. So here we go. That's going to take us up to the 1st of January, and we're still in the middle of winter. What's going to happen then? Now, about a month ago, I was saying it's likely to go up again then. Wholesale prices have come down. The prices gas and electricity providers pay have come down over recent weeks. So now the current prediction is it's going to drop, not by much, by about 2% on the 1st of January and about 1% once we get into March, taking you up. But look at this. This is where we are right now. Even once we go those 2 drops, you're still paying substantially more once we get to next May than you are currently. So the price is going to rise and stay above where it is right now for the foreseeable future if those predictions are right. Now, I talk about predictions. The reason it works weirdly, and people are saying, why is it going up if wholesale rates is coming down? The rate from the 1st of October is based on prices from May to the middle of August. The rate for January is based on prices from the middle of August to the middle of November. So this has a time lag. So wholesale rates will come down in the future, even though they're going down now. The price cap will come down in the future. It's gone up for now. And you can take advantage of this. But the big thing for you to remember, what we're going to talk about, is over the next year, you are likely to pay on average, if predictions are right, about 8% more than you are paying right now if you do nothing and stick on the price cap, which is why I would suggest to you, you need to do something.
Yes, and the main question, Martin, that we are getting from viewers is whether to switch now to a fixed rate. And we've had questions from Pam and Shamila about this. So Pam says, I'm on a variable rate with OVO. Should I change to a fixed rate? And Shamila's emailed in, I need advice on what to do with locking in a cap price for energy. Octopus keep emailing me to fix my tariff for, I think, 15 months. What should I do? Bite the bullet and pay the high price, hoping energy will come down, or lock myself and mum in to this fixed tariff scheme?
So as we've just seen, energy is going up. It's not coming down. It's going up on the 1st of October. It's likely to come down a tiny bit in January, but still be a lot more than it is right now. Now, this wholesale rates coming down, the price energy firms pay coming down, means they're offering cheaper tariffs now than they were a couple of weeks ago. So bizarrely, energy prices are going up if you're on the price cap, but the cheapest rates available if you're going to switch are coming down. So actually, if I just run through a couple of the tariffs out there, you should always go onto a whole of market comparison site. When you do a comparison now, it won't tell you you're saving much because the price is based on the current rate. If you do it after next Tuesday, it'll tell you you're saving. Do you understand?
Yes.
So Outfox the Market is the cheapest fix right now.
Okay.
It is 9.4% cheaper than the October price cap on average, so on the new price cap, and 0.8% cheaper than what you're paying. So you could drop a tiny bit now, but from next week, you're going to be paying 9.8% less than the new price cap. EDF has a tariff that basically says you can fix now at the current rate. So you just simply don't get that price rise.
Yeah.
That's it. You just don't stop the price rise. So you're asking me, should I fix? I would say for the vast majority of people who are risk-averse and don't want to see prices going up, fixing now is the safe option. But those questions say, my company has offered me, should I fix?
Yeah.
This is not about getting a fix. This is about getting a cheap fix. If you're going to lock in a price, you want to lock in on the cheapest fix you can get. So if I just run through, I mean, head and shoulders above the road, it's Outfox the Market and EDF are substantially cheaper than any others. Then the Octopus 15 months fix that you talked about is 7% below the October price cap. Remember, the cheapest was 9.4% below. Yeah. So there is a difference. So, yes, if you're risk-averse right now... Can we bring that graph up? Again, if we can, I don't know. Here we go, here we go. Just wait for it to roll through. You're going to be able to stay.
I've got it here on a piece of paper if you want it.
Here we go. Look, if you're fixing at this level, yes, that's what they're offering. You can fix here. You won't have this rise. You won't have that higher level. You won't have that higher level. That's what fixing now does. And it gives you peace of mind. You know what you're going to pay. I've got 2 trials for this, but still, there we go.
They're staying intact for now, thank goodness. Is it worth saying, then, to your energy supplier, what is your cheapest fix? And can I go on it?
I mean, you could do that.
How much cheaper is it than the
You would be far better to go onto a comparison site because energy prices are based on region and usage. So the exact fix for you, I've given you average rates, depends on where you live and what you use. The best thing to do is to go on a whole-of-market comparison site and find your cheapest.
Sharon has got in touch on Facebook.
Yeah.
Sharon says, I have been on a standard rate for years on a low usage, but I'm not happy with my supplier because of their higher costs over the years, but was afraid to switch in case it was worse elsewhere. Do I fix or switch?
Well, you could fix. The key thing in that sentence is lower use.
Yes.
The lower user you are, the more important standard charges are to your bill. So remember, your bill is made up of 2 things. It's made up of a daily fixed charge that you pay whether you use gas and electricity or not, and then it's used on a unit rates, which basically each unit of energy or gas, electricity or gas you use, you pay more for. So you've got your standing charge and you've got your unit rate. The less you use, the bigger a proportion of your bill your standing charges make. Now, you could fix to undercut that. But if you're a very low user, another option, there is a tariff called EDF Insure 1-year tracker that effectively says you'll pay the price cap rates for the amount of each unit of energy you use, but we're going to take £50 off the standing charge for the year. So very low users would be better on that than they would be on a fix. I would, and this is very back of the envelope, I'd say if you're paying over £1,000 a year for energy, you're probably going to be better off fixing. If you're paying under £1,000 a year for energy, you might want to look at shifting to the EDF Insure 1-year tracker that has lower standing charges.
And Val has also got a question on Facebook on standing charges. My understanding is that the raised standing charges are to cover the cost of the firms that went bust. If that's correct, how long will it take for them to be reduced significantly? It's difficult to budget when the standing charge is almost £1 a day before using any energy at all.
So there is a small element of it that is to cover the losses because of energy firms going bust, but that is only a marginal element. Most of it is network and distribution costs and other things that the Ofgem has put onto the standing charge. Right. So even if all of that small element disappeared, your standing charges would not drop substantially. Now, people will know I've campaigned for a long time. I think the standing charges are a moral hazard. They mean that people with lower usage can't save much by reducing their bills. We've pushed for a consultation. We got a consultation. Ofgem in August published the fact that it was thinking of shifting some of the costs from the standing charge to the unit rate to bring standing charges down. It put that out for consultation. That consultation actually ended about 5 days ago. I submitted a response, or my team submitted a response to that consultation, and we're now waiting for Ofgem to look at the consultation responses to come forward with proposals to lower the standing charge. Now, I had promises in the election from both Tories and Labour, they would try to push a lower standing charge. I've got that from Ed Miliband directly. So I think at some point over the next 6 months, when there's a price cap announcement, we will see a lower standing charge, not a no standing charge, but maybe instead of the 330-odd quid a year, it'll probably go down to 250 quid a year. But the unit rates will go up to pay for that. So higher users will pay more, lower users will pay, less, which is more ethical in terms of energy usage and in terms of funding too.
Can totally see that. Christine on Facebook says she's on a prepayment meter and asks, should she top up before the prices go up next Tuesday?
It will only work on a non-smart electricity prepayment meter. On other meters, your prices are changed automatically. On a non-smart electricity prepayment meter that isn't Scottish Power, if you top up now and then wait as long as you can to top up again, you should stay on the current rates. I can't 100% guarantee it because firms do have the right to claw it back. Most don't, except for Scottish Power. So probably non-smart electricity prepayment users should top up, yes.
Tosha on X says, I've been offered fixed-rate deals from EDF, but on the proviso I have a smart meter. I don't want a smart meter, says Tosha. Are they allowed to do this? Why should I be disadvantaged because I don't want one?
You cannot mandate somebody to have a smart meter, but you can make having a smart meter a condition of a tariff. So you can't tell people you have to have a smart meter, but you can say if you want this special tariff, you have to have a smart meter. Now, when I go through my list, forgive the glasses, Outfox the Market does not require a smart meter. It's cheap as fix. Octopus does not require a smart meter. It's cheap as fix. British Gas's fix does not require a smart meter. EDF and E.ON do. EDF tariff, by the way, is available for those on smart prepayment meters. Look, we have a real problem with smart meters in this country.
Yes.
Energy firms are targeted on installing new ones. All their resources go to installing new ones or they're fined. And yet the government stats say 10% is broken, but that's a very narrow definition. My research says 20% are broken. I've written to Ed Miliband to say you need to change the targeting. You need to stop it being just install new ones, whether they work or not, installation counts, and actually say how many people have working smart meters. Because what we need to do, there are so many people out there who've got a smart meter that either doesn't give a reading as it should, has the wrong tariff information on it, or fundamentally isn't working, and yet there are no repair people because all they're doing is installing. We do not repair quickly enough. Structurally, that needs to be changed. So I understand why you don't want a smart meter. I'm a fan of smart meters when they work. And actually, they're going to bring all our bills down in future once we have time of use tariffs, because the perfect dream for energy in the future, not now, is that your smart meter price will change every 30 minutes and it'll be able to turn on your high usage appliances when it's cheap, possibly even when you're being paid to use electricity, which can happen. That will bring down the peak usage between 4 and 9 at night, which means we don't need as much generating power. So there's a nation we pay less for energy and all our bills come down. So smart meters have a place, but they need to work. With the Prime Minister in New York this morning, it would be understandable if his advisers didn't show him today's front pages. Several of them highlight his embarrassing defeat at the hands of his own party members who voted to reverse the cut to millions of pensioners' winter fuel payments. Yeah, well, there is nothing binding about that vote and it doesn't change anything. It does put further pressure on his leadership over the issue. Now, this week I asked Sir Keir Starmer why pensioners are the first to have to pay to help plug the £22 billion black hole he claims there is in the finances. And this is what he said.
If we stabilise the economy, which we're determined to do, that means that we can absolutely commit, as we do, and I do again to you this morning, we commit to the triple lock, which means that for pensioners, this year an extra £900, next year an extra £460, because I want to make sure that every pensioner is better off under Labour.
So that was the Prime Minister defending the cut of the winter fuel allowance to most, and indeed around 10 million pensioners this winter. But I think for a lot of people, that £900 figure stood out. And it did for you, didn't it, Martin?
Yeah, I've heard this £900 figure a lot. And when people have been asked, why are you cutting the winter fuel payment, the government said due to the triple lock, pensioners are having a £900 a year increase already, and it'll be going up next year. Now, my problem with the use of that figure is while it is technically correct that someone who is on the full, new state pension saw a £900 a year increase in pensions in April, the vast majority of pensioners are not on the full, new state pension. And you can hear I'm using two operative words there. The first one we'll look at is new. Now, anybody who retired before April 2016 is on the old state pension, which is lower than the new state pension. They get less as their basic pension. And that is 3 in 4 state pensioners. So the vast majority of pensioners are not on the new state pension, they're on the old state pension. Their rise last April was under £700. The second point is you only get the full rise, whether the 700 or the 900, if you have the full state pension. To get the full state pension, you need enough qualifying national insurance years over your working life, either earned from employment or sometimes childcare or various other ways. Now, you need roughly 35 years. It isn't exactly 35 years. Now, the big problem I have with this phrasing is the people who the government has said should get the winter fuel payment is those on pension credit, which is a state top-up to people on the lowest incomes. And up to 880,000 people on pension credit aren't claiming it. Now, by definition, almost, not quite, there's a couple of nuances, almost everybody entitled to pension credit will not be getting the full state pension, because if they did, they wouldn't get pension credit. Therefore, they'll be getting less than the full state pensions. So they'll likely be on the old state pension, which is a lower rise, and they won't be getting all of it. So the £900 figure doesn't actually bear a strong resemblance to what most of the people who are the poorest pensioners will actually get. And my big issue, you can look at this whole thing twofold. One, yes, I think the means testing for getting rid of winter fuel payment should be higher. They put it reliant on pension credit. That's basically people earning less than £11,400. But we still haven't got an answer. The 880,000 poorest pensioners, many of whom will have onset dementia. This is the reason they can't navigate the system. This is why the form is so big. This is why they're not claiming. They are the poorest pensioners in the country. They won't have had that full state pension uplift, and yet they're not getting winter fuel payment. What are we going to do about them? Because those are the ones most at risk this winter of not being able to pay their bills. And I've been shouting about pension credit for over a decade, louder than anyone else I would probably offer. And I think even if we did everything now, 20,000 extra people a month are claiming it, if we did everything now, absolutely everything, we might cut down the number of people who are eligible not claiming to somewhere in the 700,000s.
Wow.
But we're not going to get much further. We're not going to get much further.
Well, you've been in for a meeting with the Chancellor and you've spoken to her about pension credit. We have a number of emails about this.
Yeah.
Jane has emailed in, the pension amount is now £221.20 per week and the threshold for pension credit is £218.15. Do you think this will change in the budget? I have friends who are unable to claim pension credit because they're £3.05 over.
So 2 points. Do I think it will change? Well, the premise of pension credit has generally been it's a state top-up for people who don't get the full pension. So to make it higher than the full state pension would be changing what pension credit is. I'm not saying they won't do that, because there may well be some mitigation. I mean, I went in with Rachel Reeves. Wasn't only about winter fuel payments, but I did talk to her about it. I don't think, and I think you can see that from the media interviews, I don't think they're going to turn substantially. We did talk about having a look at the pension credit form, which I'm going to be doing with them, and trying to communicate about pension credit. Look, the one thing I would make a really strong point to everybody watching, the figure is bandied about that the pension credit limit is £218 of earnings a week. It is not a hard limit.
OK.
You are very likely to get pension credit if your total income is less than £218 a week. But for many reasons, you may still get it above that. In fact, on my rule of thumb, I'd say as a single pensioner, if your income's under £235 a week, I would check. I'm not saying you'll get it. Most won't get it, but some will get it.
So don't assume you won't.
Lucinda got in touch with me. My mum was just over the threshold, so we didn't apply, but worried about winter fuel payment, no free TV licence, cheaper broadband, etc. Then she saw my email saying, if you're only just over, try anyway. A long call to the Department for Work and Pensions later, and her mum will now get pension credit. Her dad died earlier this year, so not only has mum been going through it, but money is tight. She's thanking me. So look, and I have a message here about people who qualify because they've got higher incomes from a disability. This is from Adele. Overall, she also, her dad qualified for attendance allowance, £8 extra a year there. And I've got messages from people who didn't think they could get it because they have savings, but you can because the first £10 of savings is discounted. And messages from people who've got it who didn't think they would because they've got higher housing costs. So let's just take this 218 and throw it away. My rule of thumb, if you have under £235 a week income, you're a single pensioner, check. If you're a couple, both of state pension age, under £350 a week of total income, check. I am not saying you'll get it. Many people who are above that 218 won't get it, but some of you will. and it's worth checking for that reason.
Well, Carol has got in touch on Facebook. I applied for pension credit thinking I wasn't entitled, only to find out I am, thanks to you. It's only a small amount, but it does then open the door to the winter fuel allowance.
It does, and to TV licence if you're over 75 and to council tax discounts. And let's remember, the average pension credit payout, £3,900. Now, that's quite interesting, because I think we've got a clip from something Welfare Minister Sir Stephen Timms said yesterday.
Yeah, let's have a look.
I hope.
The Chancellor has made decisions which need to be made to sort out the very serious problems in the government's finances which we've been left with. And I'm hoping that over time this measure will actually reduce pensioner poverty by increasing the take-up of pension credit. We have seen quite a big boost in the number of people applying for pension credit over the last few weeks, and I think that is likely to continue.
I was flabbergasted when I heard that. And it's such a shame the government aren't doing interview rounds this morning, because I'd love to talk to them about it. I just want to break that down. He's saying he hopes by doing what they've done, it will encourage more people to get pension credit. Well, I hope it'll encourage more people to get pension credit too. But a big uplift it's not a big uplift. It's 20,000 a month. There are 880,000 people, up to 800 missing out. That's 4 years if we kept at the same rate before everyone claimed. And that won't happen. But you have to do the maths on that. If everybody who was eligible for pension credit claimed pension credit now, the average pension credit payout is £3,900. It would cost the state billions more than they've gained by cutting the winter fuel payments. So if the real aim of doing this is to get people to claim pension credit, you're going to have an even bigger black hole. So I can't believe that logic is the truth. That is not why they're doing it. He wasn't saying it's why they're doing it. But yes, it will get a few more people to claim pension credit, and yes, that is a good thing. But we go back to the fact there is a government stat that up to 880,000 of the poorest people, of the people the government itself says should be getting winter fuel payment, its own target group, who will not get it. And no one's saying anything. No one's saying, what are we going to do to help those vulnerable older people earning less than £11,400 who are not in a position and don't understand how they can claim, which is why I think this is the wrong form of means testing. It's why I've suggested doing it on lower council tax. That's imperfect, but it reached many more people on bands A to C.
It is a complicated...
And I wish they were here, because I'd love to put that to them.
Yes.
I don't want to be doing... I'm not an opposition to the government.
No.
It's not my role.
No, well, we all wish we were interviewing a government minister this morning. For some reason, today is not the day that they're on the programme. Can you give advice to people? It's complicated form. It's a really important one. We heard from, I think, was it Lucinda, who had a long conversation with Work and Pensions. Who are the best people to guide you through applying?
So first, let me say, while the form is long, there's lots of options. So, for example, one of the things that makes it longer is if you happen to have a dependent child and you're in a pension age, there won't be that many people in that position. So for most people, you're answering a lot less questions, because you just, do you have kids, and then skip on to 4 pages type stuff. So look, if you're competent and capable, go online and use the checker. If you feel confident to do it yourself. If not, while the government would like everybody to go to the checker first, call the pension credit hotline and let them fill in the form for you, right? They don't particularly want me saying that information, but, you know, just do it. If that's what's stopping you, call the pension credit hotline. You can also, if you need help or independent advice, Age UK has a helpline. They'll probably be bigger after I've said this. Call the Age UK helpline if you're nervous about doing this, and do that through. Or if you like face-to-face, your local citizens' advice can help you. So there is help out there. It's also worth me saying, if you're not eligible and you've checked and you're not eligible for pension credit, talk to your council. They have money in the Household Support Fund that may be able to help you. If you're struggling to pay that bill, you do not need to be on benefits to get that. Speak to your energy company if you're struggling. Some of them have put support schemes out there. But, I mean, the help is limited. I need to be honest, it's limited. That's why I'm getting quite passionate about my concern, because the problem is those 700, 800,000 people who aren't claiming pension credit are probably unlikely to go and ask for help anywhere else either. And that's my difficulty, almost, is not the people watching this who are helping now. it's the hardest to reach people who are going to be the ones most struggling. And I'm worried about our hospitals at winter, the people having to go in because they can't afford the heating or they're not eating. It is a difficult time. Energy prices going up 10% next Tuesday, remember.
We've had a question from a viewer. What happens if I can't have a smart meter because, well, for practical reasons, the people came to install the smart meter but said that there was a difficulty in, you know, for instance, if you live in a block of flats, then the signal won't get to a particular flat. Can you still get access to the smart meter tariffs in that case?
Yes. If you cannot get a smart meter because it is not practicable to fit a smart meter in your house, then you should still be able to get access to the smart meter required tariffs because you've applied to have a smart meter. It is worth me saying, we talked earlier about smart meters not working, and that I've written to Ed Miliband about the fact that far too many don't work and they need to change targets to working smart meters. In the current rules, firms must make all reasonable attempts to try and fix a smart meter. I don't believe they do, but there's an exemption that if the problem is with the signal, because that's not their responsibility, then there's an accountability gap, and it's just like, well, it's a problem with the signal. So the whole smart meter system needs a revamp. People can go on social media and read my letter to Ed Miliband that details all of that.
Everyone's asking about fixes. Helen on X says, on a fixed rate, do you end up owing the bit in between? So from the fixed rate to the standard rate at the end of the price fix? No,
a fix sets your price for a certain time, and once it ends, you go into the standard rate.
Kath on email says, we pay as you go with a smart meter, currently approximately £66 per month. I have been offered a fixed rate of £117 per month. Is it worth fixing or paying for what we use? Obviously, there will be an increase for us going into the winter, but I'm a bit unsure.
I mean, that's a doubling. That's because they're estimating your usage too high. That's not about the fixed rate. There's no way the fixed rate is double the cost of your existing smart meter. So that will be that their estimate of your usage is too high, so they're setting the direct debit too high. I think we've only got 2 minutes left. Lots of people are asking about fixing. I'm just going to... Can we bring that graphic up? I'm going to jump over and do this as quickly as I can. Look, price cap is going up 10% next Tuesday. It's over there, the camera. Price cap's going up 10% next Tuesday. It's predicted then to come down just a tiny little bit in January and a tiny little bit again in May. So the big point is, this is where we are now. Even once we move 9 months ahead, energy prices are likely to be far, far higher than they are right now. You're not going to be 7 or 8% higher. But the cheapest fixes at the moment from Outfox and EDF are set at or just below the current rate. So if you go onto a comparison site right now, you should be able to get a fix that keeps you here, so you would stay at about this level, and therefore you'd be able to beat the rise that's coming. That's a definite rise. This is a predicted rise, but it's likely to be somewhere in the ballpark. So if you're risk-averse, you will save quite substantially by going to the cheapest fixes. Get yourself on a comparison site.
Very good. Martin, thank you very much indeed. I think we're out of time for questions.
I'm out of breath.
It's been great having you here this morning. If you've got one last message for the viewers, what would it be?
Talk to every lower-income older pensioner that you know and say, have you checked whether you're entitled to pension credit? It's worth an average £3,900 and mean they'll get the winter fuel allowance. We're up to 880,000 of them missing out. If it's you, go check yourself. If you know someone, just have that word. Just say, have you checked if you're getting that pension credit? Because you might get winter fuel allowance.